In the summer of 1053 AD, on a dusty plain in southern Italy, a pivotal battle unfolded that would reshape the power dynamics of the region. The Battle of Civitate saw the rising Norman forces, under the cunning leadership of the Hauteville brothers, face off against a coalition led by Pope Leo IX. This wasn't just a clash of swords, it was a contest of ambition, strategy, and raw military might. Today we'll dive deep into the strategies, units, and historical significance of this battle fought on June 18, 1053 AD. Let's set the stage. By the mid-11th century, southern Italy was a fragmented mosaic of powers. The Byzantine Empire held parts of the region, while Lombard princes and Muslim emirates vied for control. Into this chaotic mix came the Normans, Viking descendants turned mercenary adventurers. By 1053 AD, the Normans, led by the Hauteville family, had carved out significant holdings in Apulia, threatening both Byzantine and Papal interests. Pope Leo IX, a reformist pontiff, saw the Normans as a destabilizing force. He formed a coalition with the Lombards, Swabian mercenaries and Byzantine allies to crush the Norman threat. The Normans under Humphrey de Hauteville and his younger brother Robert Guiscard were outnumbered but undeterred. The stage was set for a showdown near Civitate in modern-day Puglia, Italy. Let's break down the armies. The Papal coalition was a diverse but unwieldy force, estimated at around 6,000 to 7,000 men. Its core was Swabian heavy infantry, roughly 700 elite German mercenaries, armed with two-handed swords and chainmail. These were disciplined shock troops meant to anchor the line. Lombard militia, several thousand Lombard infantry, lightly armed with spears, shields and short swords. Their training varied and cohesion was questionable. Italian levies, local recruits, mostly infantry, with minimal armor and basic weapons like spears or slings. Byzantine contingent, a small detachment of light cavalry and skirmishers, likely sent by the Byzantine governor in Bari. Their numbers were negligible but added mobility. The coalition's strength was its numbers, but its weakness lay in its lack of unity. The Swabians, Lombards, and Italians had different fighting styles and little experience working together. On the other side, the Normans fielded a smaller but tightly knit force of around 3,000 to 3,500 men, almost entirely mounted. And their army was built around Norman heavy cavalry, the backbone of their force. These were armoured knights wielding lances, swords and kite shields. Clad in chainmail hauberks, they rode war horses trained for shock charges. About 2,000 knights formed the main strike force. Mounted sergeants, roughly 1,000 lighter cavalry, less heavily armoured but still effective for flanking and pursuit. Infantry support, a small contingent of foot soldiers, likely archers or spearmen, used for screening or holding key positions. The Norman strength was their disciplined cavalry and experienced leadership. Humphrey de Hauteville and Robert Guiscard were battle-hardened commanders who understood the terrain and their enemies' weaknesses. The battle took place on a flat, open plain near the Fortore River, ideal for cavalry maneuvers, but less suited for the coalition's infantry-heavy force. Pope Leo IX, though not a military man, positioned his army on a slight rise, hoping to use the terrain to disrupt Norman cavalry charges. His strategy was defensive. Anchor the center with the Swabian heavy infantry, supported by Lombard militia on the wings, and hold until the Normans exhausted themselves. The Normans, however, had other plans. Humphrey de Hauteville divided his forces into 3 divisions: left wing, under Richard of Aversa, with around 1,000 knights, tasked with engaging the Lombard militia on the coalition's right. Center, led by Humphrey himself, with 1,000 knights facing the Swabian infantry. Right wing, commanded by Robert Guiscard, with 1,000 knights and sergeants, aimed at the coalition's left flank, where the Italian levies were weakest. The Norman strategy was classic: use mobility to outmaneuver the enemy. isolate their strongest units and break their cohesion with rapid, coordinated charges. On the morning of June 18th, 1053 AD, the battle began with a parley. The Normans offered peace, proposing to hold their lands as papal vassals. Pope Leo IX, confident in his numerical advantage, rejected the offer. The Normans wasted no time. Richard of Aversa's left wing struck first, charging the Lombard militia on the coalition's right. The Lombards, poorly trained and lightly armed, buckled under the impact of the Norman cavalry. Within minutes, their right flank began to collapse, with many fleeing the field. In the center, Humphrey's knights engaged the Swabian infantry. The Swabians held their ground, their two-handed swords cutting down horses and riders. The Normans avoided a prolonged melee, using feigned retreats to lure the Swabians out of formation. This tactic, a hallmark of Norman warfare, exploited the Swabians' aggression, pulling them away from the coalition's main line. On the coalition's left, Robert Guiscard's division smashed into the Italian levies. Outmatched and demoralized, the levies broke almost immediately, leaving the coalition's flank exposed. Guiscard then wheeled his cavalry to envelop the Swabian center, hitting them from the side while Humphrey's knights pressed from the front. The Swabians fought valiantly but were now isolated. Surrounded and overwhelmed, they were cut down almost to a man. By midday, the coalition's army was in full rout. Pope Leo IX, watching from a nearby hill, was captured by the Normans, who treated him with respect but kept him under guard. The Battle of Civitate was a masterclass in Norman military strategy. Several factors secured their victory. 1. Cavalry superiority. The Normans' heavy cavalry was unmatched in mobility and shock power. Their ability to execute rapid charges and feigned retreats disrupted the coalition's static defense. 2. Cohesion and leadership. The Hauteville brothers coordinated their 3 divisions with precision, exploiting the coalition's lack of unity. 3. Terrain exploitation. The open plain favored the Normans' mounted tactics, while the coalition's reliance on infantry left them vulnerable to flanking. And 4. Psychological warfare. The swift collapse of the Lombard and Italian flanks demoralized the coalition, leaving the Swabians to fight alone. The coalition's defeat stemmed from its fragmented command structure and over-reliance on numbers. Pope Leo IX underestimated the Normans' tactical acumen, and his diverse army failed to act as a cohesive unit. The Battle of Civitate was a turning point. The Normans solidified their dominance in southern Italy, paving the way for Robert Guiscard's later conquests, including Sicily. Pope Leo IX's defeat forced the papacy to reconsider its stance on the Normans. By 1059 AD, at the Synod of Melfi, Pope Nicholas II recognized Robert Guiscard as Duke of Apulia and Calabria, legitimizing Norman rule in exchange for their allegiance. Civitate showcased the rise of Norman military power and the effectiveness of heavy cavalry in medieval warfare. It also highlighted the challenges of coalition warfare, where disparate forces struggled to match the discipline of a unified enemy. The Battle of Civitate marked the beginning of a significant Norman expansion in southern Italy after 1053 AD. The Battle of Civitate was more than a clash of arms. It was a demonstration of strategic brilliance and the dawn of a new power in medieval Europe. The Normans' victory at Civitate set the stage for their enduring legacy, from Italy to England. If you enjoyed this deep dive into medieval warfare, like and subscribe for more historical breakdowns. Let us know in the comments what battle you'd like us to